You've probably heard it a million times. To get rich, you need to launch some flashy tech startup or a viral app. But what if that's all wrong? What if the real secret, the one backed by data, is that a huge number of millionaires didn't chase hype at all? Instead, they built, well, boring businesses that just quietly print money, month after month. Today, we're breaking down the exact blueprint they use.
It really all boils down to this. You've got two paths. On one side, you have the hype business. High risk, always chasing the next big trend, and the cash flow is, well, it's anyone's guess. But on the other side, you've got the boring business. This is all about stability, predictable demand, and the most important part, consistent, reliable cash flow. Here, boring isn't a bad word. It's the entire strategy.
So to really see how this works in the real world, let's talk about a guy named Harry. His story is the perfect example of someone who is completely trapped by the myth of the exciting startup, just chasing one shiny object after another and getting absolutely nowhere. At 32 years old, this was Harry's reality. $3,419 a month after tax from his job as an operations coordinator. His entire net worth was basically a paid-off hatchback. He was, for lack of a better word, completely and totally stuck. And believe me, it wasn't for lack of trying. He'd done it all. He had the drop shipping store that never cleared more than $100 in profit. He went through a crypto phase that pretty much turned $1,500 into about $400. Oh, and he even tried a clothing brand that left him with 3 big boxes of unsold hoodies sitting in his hallway. The pattern was always the same: a ton of hype and zero predictable cash.
Then one night, he's on a late bus ride home, just scrolling, and he stumbles onto a summary of a book that completely flipped a switch in his brain. And it wasn't some new age tech manifesto. It was an old classic called The Millionaire Next Door.
This one sentence, man, it hit him like a ton of bricks. He'd been chasing these clever, complicated ideas, and here's this book telling him the secret was just to own something boring, but necessary. He decided right then and there to treat that quote less like a nice idea and more like an instruction manual for his life.
And the book's idea is totally backed by the numbers. About 47% of millionaires are business owners. But here's the kicker, it's the kind of businesses they own. Most of them run what the authors literally called dull, normal companies. Think local services, repair shops, small factories. Not exactly stuff that gets you on the cover of a magazine, but incredibly effective at building wealth.
So, armed with his brand new philosophy, Harry took his first real step. He completely stopped looking for some viral idea and instead started looking for a boring, existing business. Specifically, one with an owner who was getting ready to retire.
And he found it just 15 minutes from his apartment, an aging laundromat for sale for $198,000. Now, he didn't have that kind of cash, so he scraped together a $27,000 down payment by selling his car and getting a small line of credit. In his very first month as the owner, his take-home pay, after every single expense, was just $1,317. Not life-changing money, right? But it was proof. It was real money he earned without having to clock in more hours at his job.
Now, a laundromat might seem kind of random, but statistically, it's a brilliant move. According to industry data, laundromats have an incredible 94.8% success rate over a 5-year period. Why? Because people always need clean clothes, whether the economy is up or down. It's a simple, necessary service.
That first little win, that $1,300 a month, that wasn't the end goal. Nope. It was the foundation. The real power comes from what Harry did next, which is a concept we'll call stacking boring income.
So here's how he built his stack, piece by piece. First, he optimized the laundromat to get that cash flow up. Then he noticed the snack machine in the corner was always busy, so his next move was to add a whole vending route. After that, he used the combined cash flow from both of those to partner on a self-storage facility. See the pattern? Each business was boring on its own, but together they created some serious momentum.
And this chart, this shows the exact moment everything changed for him. After about a year of tweaking things, his laundromat was bringing in $2,189 a month. The new vending route added another $2,413. His combined boring income was now over $4,600, officially passing his 9-to-5 salary. For the very first time in his life, he was free. The last piece of this first puzzle was the self-storage facility. He didn't have enough to buy one outright, so he partnered up with a local contractor. Harry would run all the operations, and his share added another $1,594 a month once it was up and running. His total boring income was now over $6,000 a month and still growing. See, Harry's story isn't just some feel-good tale.
It's a blueprint. It reveals an underlying framework that, really, anyone can use to look at opportunities and start building their own cash-flowing assets.
And here's the result of that blueprint in action. At age 32, Harry's net worth was barely $5,000. By age 38, just 6 years later, after methodically stacking these boring businesses, his net worth crossed the $1 million mark. There was no single explosive year, no lucky break, just the slow, steady, and incredibly powerful effect of compounding cash flow.
So how did he pick his businesses? He stopped asking what's cool and started running every single opportunity through 3 super simple filters. First, recurring payment. Do customers pay you at least monthly without you having to chase them? Second, low drama. Is the decision to buy simple, not some big overthought process? And third, own the asset. Can you eventually own the core thing that's making the money? That's it. That's the entire framework.
And when you start applying those filters, you see the same types of businesses pop up over and over again. Things like laundromats, self-storage, and vending, obviously, but also stuff like waste management, essential home services, think plumbing or HVAC, and even niche services like emergency towing. They all fit the model perfectly.
At its heart, this is what we're talking about, a cash flow business. It's a model that's focused on one thing and one thing only, generating consistent, predictable profit. It's not about getting a massive valuation or being featured in some magazine. It's about building a machine that puts money in your bank account every single month, like clockwork.
Okay, so this all makes sense. We've seen the theory, we've seen the real-world example with Harry. But the most important question is, how can you apply this? How do you find your very first boring idea?
So, I'll just ask you directly. Forget about inventing the next big thing for just a second. Based on everything we've just talked about, what is one boring, necessary service in your own community that you could maybe get involved in? What's your first boring move?
And you know, the best part is, you don't have to quit your job or risk everything to get started. Here are a few tiny, non-scary steps you can take, like tonight. Spend 30 minutes just researching local laundromats or vending routes for sale in your area. Or just walk around your neighborhood and look for services that seem a little neglected or old-fashioned. Then run what you find through those 3 filters we talked about. Tiny, boring steps are exactly how this whole journey begins.